Using vulgar language, President Trump today questioned why the United States would allow people from Haiti and Africa into the country, describing those places using an expletive while suggesting people from Norway might be more acceptable. He reportedly made the comments during a White House meeting with a bipartisan group of senators. The White House tonight is not denying the president made the remarks. Now, we want you to know our report includes that expletive once so that you can hear the complete quote for yourself. And of course, it may not be appropriate for some of our younger viewers. NBC's Peter Alexander has details.
The president tonight apparently uncorking another astonishing statement, complaining to lawmakers in the Oval Office about protections for immigrants. Why do we want these people from, quote, all these shithole countries here?
That's inappropriate.
According to a Democratic aide familiar with the conversation, Mr. Trump was referring to African nations and Haiti, before suggesting the U.S. should have more people from places like Norway, whose prime minister he met yesterday. A White House spokesman tonight not denying the president's words, but saying certain Washington politicians choose to fight for foreign countries. But President Trump will always fight for the American people.
I'll tell you what this white supremacist is doing, y'all. This white supremacist has now signed executive order, signed sanctions against South Africa for their recent land seizure bill. He's ordering all aid to South Africa be halted, and he's ordering federal agencies to prioritize humanitarian relief and admission to the United States for Afrikaner refugees. So what Donald Trump is saying is, and remember, Elon Musk tweeted this a couple days ago, we need to bring these white South Africans to the United States. And just so everybody knows, Zachary, do you know 3 of the biggest billionaires supporting Donald Trump? Elon Musk, Peter Thiel, David Sachs, all 3 white children of apartheid.
They're poisoning the blood of our country. All over the world, they're coming into our country from Africa, from Asia. Mexico sends its people. They're not sending their best. They're bringing drugs. They're bringing crime. They're rapists. They don't speak the language. They don't have the culture. These are stone cold killers. They'll walk into your kitchen, they'll cut your throat. They're eating the dogs, the people that came in. They're eating the cats.
Haiti has a tremendous AIDS problem. Many of those people will probably have AIDS, and they're coming into our country.
They took the criminals out of Caracas and they put them along your border, and we have to live with these animals. Democrats say, please don't call them animals. They're humans. I said, no, they're not humans. They're not humans. They're animals. They're rough people. In many cases from jails, prisons, from mental institutions, insane asylums. You know, insane asylum, that's Silence of the Lambs stuff. I told them not to let the Syrians in because we have no idea who they are. They could be ISIS and they might not be, but they could be ISIS.
We were homeless in the Bahamas, and then we came here.
James Walkeen admits he and partner Lashar Smith overstayed their visas more than a decade ago when they came here from the Bahamas looking for a better life. But Tuesday, they never imagined she would be arrested at Fort Lauderdale Hollywood International Airport, they say by ICE agents.
She went through TSA. They was giving her a hard time with her ID, and they were saying that it wasn't scanning.
The Broward Sheriff's Office was called, he says. She was then taken into custody.
Immigration stepped in, and they determined that she has no criminal record, but because they determined that she's on overstay, they took her in.
An inmate of Baker County Jail. For account approval, press 1 to accept.
While we were there, Lashar called from jail.
I miss you too, Princess. Oh, yeah, come home.
She says she was moved to a detention facility in Baker County, 5 hours away.
A lot of people that were birthed here, that worked here, don't understand what immigration or immigrants have to go through.
Joaquin tells us they've tried to get their papers. It didn't happen soon enough.
A lot of red tape and confusion. It got to the point where I had to get my 24-year-old daughter to refile again for me. I've been here since I was 8, back and forth to the Bahamas. This country is all I know. I can't hate it.
A group of 49 white South Africans have left their homeland for America after being offered refugee status by the Trump administration.
White farmers are being brutally killed, and their land is being confiscated in South Africa.
The South African government says claims of Afrikaners being prosecuted are completely false. One of Trump's closest advisors, Elon Musk, who was born in South Africa, has previously said there was a genocide of white people in the country, but that has been widely discredited.
And just so everybody knows, Zachary, do you know 3 of the biggest billionaires supporting Donald Trump? Elon Musk, Peter Thiel, David Sachs, all 3 white children of apartheid.
Donald Trump's administration is aiming to bring the first group of white South Africans to the United States via its refugee program as soon as next week. 3 people familiar with the matter have said. It's a divisive move.
Thank you, Mr. Trump.
Especially given that Trump has been blocking refugee admissions from the rest of the world.
So black and brown folks, you guys get out, but white Africans, you guys can come on in.
What? Bro, what are you talking about, man?
Black and brown folks, you guys get out, but white Africans, you guys can come on in.
2 of the sources, who requested anonymity as they were sharing internal plans, said their aim is to fly the initial cohort of around 50 Afrikaners into Washington Dulles International Airport in Virginia.
It was like an answered prayer.
Life coach Katia Beeden is administrator of a website that seeks to help white South Africans take up Trump's offer.
We've been forgotten. It's very hard for us to travel. It's very hard for us to get visas. So to suddenly hear that a country like the United States is offering us refugee status was a really big deal. And I was so excited. I felt so relieved. It just felt like a lifeline.
In February, Trump issued an executive order that called for the US to resettle Afrikaner refugees. It said Afrikaners, who are descendants of mostly Dutch early settlers, were victims of unjust racial discrimination. The assertion that minority white South Africans face discrimination from the black majority has spread in far-right circles for years and been echoed by Trump's white South African-born ally, Elon Musk.
I guess the key issue just to highlight is that none of this is actually true.
Political analyst TK Poe says the refugee scheme has created a false narrative that South Africa is a country going through some civil war.
And then secondly, within the internal borders of South Africa, it really has created a lot of division. It's almost as though President Trump has gone out of his way to sow internal division.
Violence against white farmers and a law allowing for the expropriation and redistribution of land are often cited as evidence of anti-white discrimination in South Africa. However, out of 26,000 murders in South Africa last year, just 44 were linked to farming communities, according to police statistics. Crime researchers say the overwhelming majority of murder victims are black. In addition, 3/4 of private land in South Africa is white-owned and not a single expropriation has taken place. South Africa's government has criticised Trump's program, saying that it fails to recognise South Africa's history of colonialism and apartheid. It added that it's ironic that refugee status is being offered to people from the most economically privileged part of South African society. The average white household owns 20 times the wealth of the average black household, according to international academic journal The Review of Political Economy. Official data shows unemployment rates are far higher among black citizens.
As long as it's not here, you can go anywhere you want.
Trump's order also came after he'd suspended all US refugee admissions, citing security and cost concerns. Thousands of Afghans, Congolese and others fleeing conflicts were blocked even after they'd been vetted and cleared.
This is Donald Trump's parents. His mother, Marianne, was an immigrant from Scotland. Now, Donald Trump believes that, quote, immigrants are poisoning the blood of our country. So the question is, in any circumstances, could he be right? This is Donald's first wife, an immigrant, Ivana, who, according to the FBI, her Immigration and Naturalization Service file was, quote, fraught with inconsistencies regarding dates of residence, schooling, and employments. Anyway, Donald Trump and Ivana produced these three knuckleheads. Then Donnie Boy's third wife, another immigrant, Melania, who somehow got into America on, get this, an Einstein visa, which is reserved for people who are professionally acclaimed in their field. Think Pulitzer, Oscar, and Olympic winners, as well as respected academic researchers. But Melania is a woman who posed nude, plagiarized Michelle Obama, and complained how onerous it was to put out the White House Christmas decorations. And then they produced Berean. Hopefully Berean will disprove the theory that the apple never falls far from the tree. Anyway, in conclusion, the question is, have the immigrants related to Donnie Boy poison the blood of our country? What do you think?
So black and brown folks, you guys get out, but white Africans, you guys can come on in.
What? Bro, what are you talking about, man?
Black and brown folks, you guys get out, but white Africans, you guys can come on in.
As a former Trump supporter and as a former white nationalist, we live by the 14 words, which were, we must secure the existence of our race and a future for white children. That's exactly what Donald Trump is trying to do. White privilege and white supremacy in the United States of America is when you ban all asylum-seeking immigrants from Central America, South America, or any non-European nation, while simultaneously booking charter flights for 50,000 white South Afrikaners.
Welcome. Welcome to the United States of America. It is such an honor for us to receive you here today. This is the land of the free. It makes me so happy to see you with our flag in your hands, and that flag symbolizes liberty for so many of us. Many of us, our families, have had a journey not that different from the journey that you are embarking on today. Any adjustment in life, any change takes a while to get used to. But I want you all to know that you are really welcome here and that we respect what you have had to deal with these last few years. We respect the long tradition of your people and what you have accomplished over the years, and I am sure that you will be successful. It's, as you know, a lot of you I think are farmers, right? When you have quality seeds, you can put them in foreign soil and they will blossom, they will bloom. And we are excited to welcome you here to our country where we think you will bloom, and we will hopefully allow you to have fulfilling lives for your children, and then we will bloom and we will benefit alongside you.
Yes, white privilege in the United States of America is the president of this nation going on national television and saying that the reason why he's giving charter flights to white South Afrikaners is because they're being persecuted and even unalived by their government. He called it a genocide. Meanwhile, the death toll for Palestinians in Gaza has reached 50,000, and this is just what we know, many of which are women and children. White privilege in the United States of America is turning away people who have traveled days on foot to get to this nation and make a better life because you say immigrants are poisoning the blood of this country. They're like vermin, while simultaneously giving comfy charter flights to white South Afrikaners. Remember when President Biden granted temporary protection status to immigrants who were fleeing real persecution? And MAGA said that the Democrats were buying votes or they were trying to increase the voter base? Where's that energy for Donald Trump? The reality is it was never about doing it the right way. It was never about we don't have the resources or the ability to vet people. And it was always about protecting and upholding the politics of white supremacy.
What do you think about this topic? Remember to be a Berean scholar, as it is written in the book of Acts 17 verses 11 to 12. Now the Bereans were more noble-minded than the Thessalonians, for they received the message with great eagerness and examined the scriptures every day to see if these teachings were true. It's time to deepen your understanding and see your reflection within the sacred pages. Please click subscribe, and click the notification bell to stay up to date with the Berean Scholar channel.